rolling.
Thanks to the rollin', 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 thanks to...
Rolling, rolling on.
Internet, welcome to Game Theory, where this week we're concluding our killer two-parter on the darkest, dungeoniest game franchise from Software, Dark Souls. Last time we started our epic quest to unearth the secret identity of our player from Dark Souls 3, and I completely burned through my allotted time going over some basic foundational lore we needed to be on the same page about to even begin piecing together this mystery. So for all of you who went TLDW, let me summarize. The fire that gives the Age of Fire its name keeps dying, but someone always goes and uses their body as a human candle to relight it. Doing so earns you the title of a Lord of Cinder and really crispy flesh. In Dark Souls 3, the person who was supposed to relight it, Prince Lothric, has rejected his duty since, he assumes that burning yourself really hurts, so 4 Lords of Cinder were brought back to life to do it for him. The theory goes if they were able to do it once, well, they'll do it again, except they won't. From personal experience, they know that burning yourself for eternity really hurts, and they aren't too eager to do it again. Enter your character. You're playing as an unkindled, someone who, in the past, tried to link the fire but failed. You're basically the third stringer, the long shot of long shots, the Hail Mary. You, along with 3 other unkindled, are tasked with killing off the Lords of Cinder and returning them to their thrones. But what we noticed last time was that the 3 others each have a close association with one of the lords. Hawkwood the Deserter with the Abyss Watchers, Sigurd of Katarina with Yorm the Giant, and Henri of Astora with Aldrich the Devourer of Gods, which leaves 1 unaccounted for Lord of Cinder with 1 unaccounted for unkindled, Prince Lothric and you. But what exactly is the history between the 2 of you? And what does it mean for your character's identity in the game? Well, like an owl trying to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop, I too am ready to get to the center of this mystery. So let's find out. A 1, a 2. You know what gnawed at me for a long time? This boss, the Nameless King. It's such a random boss fight. I mean, not just because it's one of the most difficult in the game, that's fine, it's an optional boss. Game developers have been throwing in bosses that exist only to inflate our egos for generations. But there's a reason why specifically this fight bothered me. Why did it exist? Dark Souls is a series where nothing is wasted. Item descriptions, NPC placements, every fight in the game has purpose. You're hacking through different Lords of Cinder so you can deliver their heads like the world's most disappointing pizza to their thrones. Other bosses serve as their underlings, and even optional bosses have a reason. Consumed King Osiris is an insane danger to everyone around him, and the Cursed Rotten Greatwood is, a gross evil tree. But the Nameless King? Killing him doesn't further your goals as someone trying to link the fire, so why is he your enemy? For a long time I thought maybe this is just a video game thing and I'm overthinking it. Yes, I sometimes have self-awareness and realize that all these theories do amount to me overanalyzing things that the developers probably never intended, but no, not this time, because there is something hidden here. The Nameless King battle is a hint that our character not only has a history with Prince Lothric, but that he also somehow was an enemy to the Nameless King. But in order to know exactly why, well, we first have to identify our Nameless King. And let me just point out the absurdity of this. To find the identity of our character, we need to find the identity of not only this guy, but also of a few more characters that we're gonna get to later. Gotta love Dark Souls. This is like 5 theories wrapped up into one. Luckily, this first one isn't too hard, but you have to go all the way back to Dark Souls 1 to do it. According to the description of the Sunlight Medal, quote, the symbol represents Lord Gwyn's firstborn, who lost his deity status and was expunged from the annals, end quote. And from the Ring of the Sun's firstborn item description, we learned that, quote, Lord Gwyn's firstborn was a god of war, but his foolishness led to a loss of the annals and rescinding of his deific status. Today, even his name is not known. End quote. Oh, a king without a name, you say? It would appear the nameless king is Lord Gwyn's eldest son, a hypothesis further supported by the fact that Gwyn's sunlight symbol can be found all over Archdragon Peak, realm of the nameless king. But then, why was he disowned from his father? Well, hopping back to Dark Souls 3, if you manage to win the fight and look at the description of the soul of the Nameless King, you see, quote, the Nameless King was once a dragon-slaying god of war, before he sacrificed everything to ally himself with the ancient dragons, end quote. And there's even more hints sprinkled throughout item descriptions. In the Miracle Lightning Storm, the Dragon Slayer Sword Spear, the Storm Curved Sword, and the Dragon Scale set. Basically, looking at all of this, it's undeniable that the Nameless King is the long-lost son of Gwyn, who allied himself with dragons and thus became an enemy to his father, and by proxy anyone who fights on behalf of linking the fire and is an enemy to dragons, both things that we know the Kingdom of Lothric stands for. As we've established, they have a tradition of linking the fire, and according to the description for the Lothric Knight shield, the Lothric Knights contended with dragons, and their shields have suitably high lightning absorption befitting a dragon slayer's arms. So obviously the Nameless King wouldn't be the biggest fan of anyone who fought on behalf of the kingdom. As such, we're given our first clue that you were once a warrior of Lothric. But we can get even more specific, because what exactly were you? A knight? A priest? An intern whose sole responsibility was making sure the kingdom had an up-to-date social media presence? None of these. Get ready for a total hardcore reveal, because the main character of Dark Souls 3, the unkindled that you play as, is the resurrected soul of a heartless, cutthroat assassin whose sole purpose in the kingdom was to perform covert, clandestine black ops and eliminate the enemies to the throne. Ladies and gentlemen, you are a Black Hand. Oh boy, now we're getting into the real deep stuff, so let me explain. You can find a whole lot of rings throughout the game, but I want to focus on 3 in particular: the Knight's Ring, the Scholar Ring, and the Priestess Ring. By piecing together the lore contained in their descriptions, we learn that the government of Lothric is built on what's known as the 3 pillars: the Knights of Lothric, the High Priestess, and the Scholars. You actually meet all 3 of these in the game. Emma, who sits where the Dancer of the Boreal Valley hangs out, is the High Priestess. The Knights are, well, you know, everywhere. Just literally everywhere. And according to the description for the Miracle Blessed Weapon, the Scholars are the creepy dudes hanging out in the Grand Archives covered in wax. But there's one other group, a secret group rarely mentioned: the Hunters. Basically the Dark Souls equivalent of the KGB.
The KGB will be known.
According to the Hunter's Ring, they served from the shadows and punished enemies of the kingdom in ways that the 3 pillars couldn't. And of the Hunters, the Black Hands were the best of the best. So good that according to the Black Hand armor set, there have only been 3 of them in the entire history of the kingdom. And your character in Dark Souls 3 is 1/3 of that elite group. But how do we know? Let's start simple. They serve the throne, and we've already established that your character was a warrior of Lothric. But that's only the beginning. Remember, the armor set says that there were 3 Black Hands, but over the course of the entire game, you only ever come across 2, Black Hand Kamui and Black Hand Gotthard. And this whole part of the story is actually revealed not by item descriptions, but by shifting NPC alliances. As most of you probably already know, you can summon NPCs to help you through various parts of these games. And while these summons may seem random, they absolutely aren't. We already covered last episode how certain Unkindled are summoned to take down bosses important to their backstory, but the same is true when unraveling the secrets of the Black Hand. Black Hand Gotthard is an actual ally of yours throughout the first half of the game. He can be summoned to help you fight the Abyss Watchers and Pontiff Sulivan. Only after you defeat the first 3 Lords of Cinder can he be found dead at the entrance to the Grand Archives. Searching his body gives you the Grand Archives key, which allows you to progress towards Prince Lothric's hideout, the final Lord of Cinder, and the end of your quest. So obviously he's an ally of yours who's on the same mission. He's visiting the same spots as you because he too has been reborn to kill the Lords of Cinder and relink the fire. But then why did From Software design it so that he's dead at the front of the Grand Archives? Well, that has to do with the second Black Hand, Black Hand Kamui. Near the top of the Grand Archives, you meet and are immediately attacked by a group of 3 hostile NPCs: Lion Knight Albert, Daughter of the Crystal Crimehild, and Black Hand Kamui. Not only is this a really challenging and really random battle in the middle of what I thought was a pretty easy section of the game, what stands out most is that Lion Knight Albert was your ally up to that point. You could summon him to fight fight a boss earlier in the game, Vort of the Boreal Valley. So why does he turn on you now? Well, we can get a clue by breaking the sequence of the game a bit. If you summon Albert for that boss fight, but then go next door to kill Emma the High Priestess and one of the 3 pillars I mentioned a few paragraphs ago, it triggers another boss battle, the Dancer of the Boreal Valley. But at that point, Albert uses an item called the Black Separation Crystal, an item which allows him to basically reject your summon and return home. He's no longer on your side willing to fight with you. This means that Albert, and by proxy that group of 3 NPCs in the Grand Archives, have an allegiance to High Priestess Emma and her cause. And that you, at one point, were a part of that group. They were willing to fight alongside you, but through your actions over the course of the game, by the time you reach the Grand Archives, are now standing opposed to their goals. So that begs the question, what does Emma stand for? Well, to figure it out, we need to look at her dialogue. This is what she says the first time you meet her.
The wait has been long, unkindled one. I am Emma, High Priestess of Lothric Castle. Allow me to speak frankly. You will not find the Lords of Cinder here. They have left, gone to their journey homes, converging at the base of this castle. Head to the bottom of the high wall.
So, first and foremost, she knows you. She's been waiting for you. There's a history here, once again confirming that we were in some way a warrior for the royal family. And it's also important to note here that she's also lying to your face. She says that there are no Lords of Cinder here, but there is. You need to get past her to kill the final lord, Prince Lothric. It would seem like she's trying to protect him, a suspicion I had that's confirmed in her final lines before she dies.
Prince Lothric is in your hands. Please save his soul. Tell him what he must be, a lord.
This is why High Priestess Emma, who recognizes you immediately, sends you in the opposite direction of the princes at the beginning of the game. She does this because she, as the religious figurehead of the kingdom, is primarily concerned with preserving the salvation of the princes who have shirked their duty. This is still her priority when she dies. She doesn't say, hey, go kill those lazy boys who are leading the world to darkness. She says, save his soul. Tell him to be a lord. Like there's ever a talk it out option in Dark Souls. Do you know what game you're in, lady? And this is why Blackhand Kamui turns on his fellow Blackhand Gotthard, killing him outside of the Grand Archives, and why Lion Knight Albert eventually turns on you. Albert and Kamui are loyal to the prince, keeping him and his desire to watch the world fade into darkness alive. But Gotthard is out to return Lothric back to his throne, dead or alive. In short, there's infighting in the ranks of the Black Hand. They're meant to serve the king, but with the king gone crazy and a prince wanting to destroy the world, it's unclear which side they should take. Gotthard ends up on one side and Kamui on the other. And at the beginning of the game, it's unclear where you stand on the issue. Are you killing Lords of Cinder so they won't be able to light the fire and Prince Lothric will see his world of darkness come true? Or are you killing them to bring them back to their thrones, enabling you to link the fire? That's why Albert helps you in the early game. He assumes from your past history that you are also still serving the prince based on your role as the Black Hand. But by the time High Priestess Emma dies, either by your hand or naturally, you've killed the 3 Lords of Cinder and returned them to their thrones. Your allegiance is now clear. You're no longer adhering to your duty. You're not serving Lothric. You want him dead. And that puts you at odds with former allies like Albert and your fellow Black Hand, Kamui. Remember when I established in episode 1 that the 3 Unkindled have a relationship with their respective Lords of Cinder, and that you're set to partner against Lothric? This is why. You, as a Black Hand, have historically been a servant to the royal family, to the prince. You're their secret service. But in this game, you're betraying him. Not only going against his wishes, but going so far as to kill him and, depending on the ending that you choose, usurping the power of the flame away from the Lothric line as it's existed for centuries. We never find the body of the 3rd Black Hand. Just 2. Because the 3rd assassin isn't anywhere to be found. That is, unless, of course, you look in a mirror. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for watching. And yes, Austin and I actually did a bunch of research looking into the third member of that weird NPC trio, daughter of the Crystal Kremhold. I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyway, I'm gonna turn that research into a diet theory on her because she's one of the most mysterious characters in the game, but if you actually put the pieces together, what she means to the story is actually fascinating. It just didn't fit into this theory from a narrative standpoint or a time standpoint, but it is so good that I really want to share it with you guys, so keep an eye out for that in the next couple weeks. But before we get to that, we're taking a break from Dark Souls. We'll be tackling Zelda, Mass Effect, Splatoon, maybe even some Stardew Valley. A lot of you have been requesting that. I'm looking into it, so it's a good mix of things. As such, make sure you ring that subscription bell down below this video to not only stay notified of all the new theories coming your way, but also have your chance to join the notification squad and potentially be featured in a future episode of Game Theory. That would be pretty cool, right? I like calling out the people who are first comers to these videos. And hey, Dark Souls fans, my apologies if I triggered anyone by getting some details wrong or if I said something the wrong way. We did our best, but there is so much information that we have to juggle when making these episodes that sometimes a small thing just slips through the cracks. Things that you didn't think that you had to look up, like, say for instance, looking up that interplay named Fallout and not Bethesda. It's always those small, stupid things that you don't even think that you need to question that end up getting you. It is so frustrating. And of course, whenever that sort of thing happens, the entire comment section latches onto it and says, "Oh, Matt Pat, you're so dumb." Guys, I'm sorry, I do make mistakes. I am not a complete expert in every single game franchise, even though I try to be in researching these episodes. But you know, you're reading through 100 other things to write these scripts. You sometimes don't think to question simple stuff like the makers of the game. Well, such is life. Anyway, a huge congratulations to our 10 winners from last week's Dark Souls giveaway. Your names are on the screen right now, and I'll be reaching out over the next couple days to make sure that you're able to get your game code. Thank you so much for your excellent theories in the comments, and enjoy your new Dark Souls 3 Deluxe Pack. I don't know about you, but I'm excited to dig into the new DLC. And hey guys, if you liked the giveaway, let me know. We can always try to do more of these sorts of things in the future. I'm trying to figure out new ways to give back to you guys to just say thank you for all the support that you've given this channel over the last couple years. I mean, we're about to, if not already, crossed 8 million subscribers, and that's incredible. So if I can share some of that back with you guys, all the better. So let me know ways that I can do that moving forward. And anyway, with that, I'm signing off. This episode has already gone on too long, so see you all next week for something a bit less dense. Then again, it's supposed to be the Zelda timeline, so... Yikes! Wish me luck, guys. I'll see you then.